one of the interesting things for me is actually taking requirements that come in that are technical requirements and saying, rather than addressing those directly, was actually trying to look at the bigger picture. So one of the things that certainly I did in my most recent role was we were an operations department supporting a number of different sort of organisations with a number of different requirements. So that, you know, people wanted to go in different ways. They wanted to kind of use different technologies, and you know, we could have continued doing what we were doing, which was to stand up a set of technology over there to suit that particular need, another set of technology over here to suit this particular need. But actually what we did was took a step back and said, well, hang on a minute, you know, the way that we're operating actually probably isn't the most efficient now. So we kind of reorganized our department and the way that we were operating rather than being from a kind of sort of, rather than being a reactive project-based function that was just sort of building solutions to meet the needs of the business. We were building a kind of proactive, capacity-based, cloud-type model within the business so that people could consume services from us as and when they needed to. You know, a lot of what I try and do is get IT out of the way of the business. You know, a lot of people look at IT as a cost center, and it's very difficult to kind of dispel that myth when you're not only costing money and not showing any profit for it, but actually everyone else in the business is saying, oh, I'm waiting for these guys to go and plug a server into the rack. One of the, you know, the changes that I push through is to get to a point where we can say, well, okay, we can do pretty much whatever you want, whenever you want. There's a, you know, a certain cost associated with that, but if you want to be completely flexible, then we can do that, and we can be super proactive so that you can do, you know, if you want to stand up a new app in the next 2 weeks, we've got the capacity to do that. Yeah. You know, provided you're not talking about petabytes of data, we've got stuff on the shelf ready to go or plugged in ready to go. And the technologies these days, you know, the fact that everything is software defined, you know, all of the computers virtualized, allows you to work in that kind of model whereby you don't necessarily have to go out and buy 2 servers to run a particular product. You can just click a button and get what they need. And that, you know, that allowed us to get to a point where we were providing services to the business when they needed it, rather than having to go through a procurement cycle or anything else first. Yeah. And that for me was, you know, it was born out of the requirement of having to suit many needs. You know, people who wanted to work in different ways. So, you know, it was build a platform and let people do what they want when they want. And then following on from that, you know, we kind of pushed as far down the road as we could to, again, get IT out of the way. So, you know, we used to, you know, the historical progress of this path was, we need a server to do a thing. Okay, well, we go and buy a server to do a thing, and then we wait 6 weeks for it to be delivered, and we plug it in and we install it. Then we got to, well, okay, we need a server to do a thing. Okay, so we now log a ticket with IT, and they take 3 days to provision a VM and put all the patches on it and then give it back. The next logical step after that is to say, well, why do IT need to be doing that? We can just automate that process. It's not difficult. So we then come in and say automate it. So say, well, developer needs a VM. Well, he clicks a button and he gets a VM, and that's it. He's done. He's got everything he needs. And those process improvements save all of the time with IT. It makes, you know, it enables the business to move faster. You know, it's costing us less to operate it, and those kinds of things really get us to a place where the IT is much more efficient, and we can then start having the conversations about, well, what else can I do to make your life better? How excuse me, how can I, you know, what other processes can I make go faster that are getting in your way, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a really good approach. I think I mentioned in the last video that sometimes architecture can be seen as a bit of a no-shot. Yeah. So moving that function away from that sort of mindset, but also having something which is doing what he's supposed to be doing in the background without waiting for people to turn up and say, I need this. Sounds like a really nice way of doing it.
Yeah, and I think, specifically on the no-shop point, one of the things that I've seen a lot of organisations and a lot of people in operational departments hide behind is certification or processes or standards that we have to follow. And we can't do that because ISO says we can't, or we can't do this other thing because Sarbanes-Oxley controls forbid it.
Yeah.
And I get quite frustrated with people who give that response because it's all about, defending what you have.
Yeah.
The right answer to that question is, well, okay, like I can't do what you need right now because there are certain processes we have in place that won't allow it. But let's have a conversation. What is it you're trying to achieve? How can we get you to the endpoint that you need without, making us out of compliance with these processes? Do we have to rewrite the processes? Is there some other way that I can deliver you the thing that you need, so that you can continue to do the job that you're trying to do? Because I know you're not coming to me and saying, I need to do this thing just because you want to ruin my day.
Yeah.
You're coming to me and asking me to do something because you genuinely believe that it's going to make the business a better place. It's going to generate more revenue or save more time or make everybody happier, whatever it is. You're trying to improve the business, and if I'm turning around and saying, no, that's not helpful. So my approach is very much, what is it that I can do to fix that for you?